And welcome to the Sports Roundtable today. Glad you joined us here on YHC and online at SemoSportsZone.com. And we had week 2 of high school football last night, so we got that to talk about here in just a few moments. Also, it's the first week of professional football. We'll talk about that at the very end of our program. And week 2 is underway this week with college football as well. We'll also touch on a very strange game down in Arkansas. Last night, Pickett got underway with their first week of football in Arkansas, and a strange ending we'll talk about in just a moment. But glad you joined us here on YHC. The Sports Roundtable is well underway each Saturday, live at 10 a.m., replayed through the weekend, the early part of next week, and even you can view it on demand starting late on Saturdays on SemoSportsZone.com and even YHCTV.com. So we're here every Saturday throughout the school year going through end of May, so be sure to tune in each Saturday here on YHC. And you can email us. Be sure to send those emails to sports@semosportzone.com, and we'll address your emails on each show. And also you can send them to sports@yhctv.com as well. And let's go ahead and take a look at some scores from high school football from last night, and take a look at the game that we had on YHC that will replay on YHC. We've got Kennett and Portageville, and let's go ahead and go to 2 on this one. Kennett over Portageville, 26-6, and a nice victory there for Kennett last night. And got off to a slow start with this team when scoring, but Kennett really opened it up. And as we see here, some highlights, Portageville off to a nice little run there.
West Bank Gold Club offers special privileges.
And we having trouble with the replays there. Okay, here we go. And here's a nice run. Kennett off to a nice run here. They made some big runs in this game. That's what probably was the difference in the game. Kennett being able to get out and make some plays in the open field. As we see here, Akeem Nelson, a nice block he gets there from his teammate, and he really racked up the yards last night. And we see a nice touchdown run by Akeem Nelson here to put the Kennett Indians on the board first, and a nice deep throw. We didn't get all of that replay, but a nice deep throw in the end zone for Portageville's first score, tied it up 6-6, and there's a pass that just squeaks through, a touchdown pass there by the Kennett Indians, and put it up to 14-6. And here's another nice big run for the Kennett Indians, going all the way deep into Portageville territory. He's brought down right at the 10-yard line, and a few plays later they're going to make a score here. Akeem Nelson takes it all the way to the 1-yard line, and on the very next play, it's punched in for a score. Put the Kennett Indians up 20-6 at that point. And Portageville still trying to make a run here. A nice big run for the Bulldogs going into Kennett territory in the red zone, but were unable to get. They actually fumbled the ball inside their own inside the Kennett 5-yard line, and a big turnover there as Kennett goes on and gets a big run here in the fourth quarter, putting that game away 26-6 in that game from last night. So Kennett off to a nice start. They played Fredericktown within 7 points last week, 27-20, and got a victory last night. So they're 1-1 on the season. Also, Portageville goes 1-1. So looking at an improved bunch out of Kennett. Aaron Pixley down there now. He's been there, been at Dexter for over 10 years. He goes down to Kennett starting this year, so we're seeing some things happening there in Kennett starting this season. And take a look at some other scores from last night. We have St. Charles over Cape Central, 40-38. Caleb, let's go to the camera 2 here. And we also have Crothersville over Malden, 32-7. Crothersville continuing their winning ways in Class 2, just overmatched was Malden last night. Anytime you've got Daryl Monroe on your team, he's coming in as probably the expected card trophy winner for this season, and just a little bit too much Crothersville Tigers last night. And also we have Charleston over Hayti, 22-6. Charleston with a nice victory last night. Also we have Poplar Bluff over Dexter, handily 34-7. That's two nice victories in a row for the Poplar Bluff Mules. They defeated Union last week 34-10, so they're averaging 34 points a game on the season. Actually, I think they scored 31 last week, but nonetheless, two straight 30-point games for the Poplar Bluff Mules. And Dexter, another 7 points on the board last night. They're struggling offensively, giving up some points, so slow start so far for the Dexter Bearcats. And take a look at Chaffee over St. Pius. They're in Class 1 football, 31-14. Ace Prairie over Grandview, big, 43-8. Sykeston over New Madrid County Central in a shutout, 29-0. And that's two straight wins for the Sykeston Bulldogs. And New Madrid County Central struggling offensively, haven't put a point up on the board yet. Two straight scoreless games for the Eagles, and they certainly need to get things put together offensively going forward. So we'll see how they fare next week. And in other games, Vianney over Jackson, 52-27. Big win for Vianney. Jackson looks to be an improved team this year. They had a great season last year, 7-3, and struggled with Vianney last night. Also, we had Perryville over Lift for Life, 19-6. St. Vincent over Scott City, 25-14. And in Arkansas football, got underway last night with Week 1 football. Piggott actually tied Yellville Summit 30-30, and I'm not quite sure what the story is on this. Typically, you don't see a high school game end in a tie, especially with the overtime format going back and forth in basically a quarter of the field. So we're trying to figure out what happened in this game. Haven't got word yet this morning, so but still yet an oddity. A tie in high school football, but that was the case last night, 30-30, Piggott and Yellville Summit. And we'll be replaying the game from last night, Portageville and Kennett. That'll be replaying today at noon, and also will be replayed Sunday at 4 and Tuesday night at 6:30. So plenty of opportunity to catch that replay of Kennett and Portageville last night. And also we will I have it online to view on demand at cmosportzone.com and also yhctv.com, probably later on today. So you can catch that online anytime through our websites. And we're going to take a break and be back with some state rankings and some also some local analysis, and we'll be back with that coming up.
First Midwest Bank Gold Club offers special privileges for our friends who are age 50 or better and have combined deposits of $5,000. Members enjoy trips, cruises, seminars, and picnics along with free personalized bank services. Upcoming trips include Journey Through the Holy Land, Yellowstone in winter, Classic Ireland, and Hawaiian Paradise Cruise. Stop by any First Midwest Bank location to sign up for the Gold Club. It's absolutely free. First Midwest Bank, providing common sense financial solutions every day.
And we're going to now take a look at some state rankings for the state of Missouri in high school football, and starting out with Class 1. And this we've had some changes. We had a preseason poll, and this is reflecting the first week games. And Hamilton's still on top at number 1 in Class 1. 2, Valley Catholic staying at number 2. 3, Westron. 4, Thayer. 5, Cass Midway. 6, Salisbury. 7, South Harrison. 8, Marceline. 9, Polo. And 10, Milan. And in Class 2, we've had a few changes. Lamar still on top at number 1, and Mountain View Liberty still at 2. 3, Mountain Grove. 4, South Callaway. 5, Herculaneum. 6, Stratford. 7, Crothersville, who was in the preseason poll at number 3. They took a loss to Mountain View Liberty, moved down to 7. 8, Lutheran North. 9, Brookfield. And 10, Lafayette County. And Class 3, number 1, Maryville stays on top of number 1. John Burrell still at 2. 3, California. 4, Oak Grove. 5, Duchesne. 6, Reed Springs. 7, Center. 8, Cassville. 9, Centralia. And 10, O'Fallon Christian. And in Class 4, Webb City at number 1. 2, Harrisonville. 3, let's go back to 4. Yeah. 3, Jeff City Helias. 4, Bolivar. 5, Westminster. 6, Liberty North. 7, Raytown South. 8, Moberly. 9, Hillcrest. And 10, Priory. And in Class 5, Lee Summit West at number 1. 2, Parkway Central. Actually, a two-way tie. Parkway Central and Fort Osage. Or actually, excuse me. Parkway Central at number 2. Fort Osage is 3. That's just a typo there. 4, Kirkwood. 5, Camden. 6, Webster Grove. 7, Staley. 8, Ozark. 9, Vianney. And 10, Lebanon. And those are your state rankings for this week. They do reflect the Week 1 games, not last night's games, but Week 1 games. And we'll be sure to bring those state rankings to you each roundtable here on Saturday. And also, starting this week, we're going to put together a SEMO 15 poll for high school football. We usually wait a few weeks. It's really hard for us to tell which teams are going to be where they are, especially when we include Class 1 all the way through 5 here in Southeast Missouri. We'll have a ranking of the top 15 teams in Southeast Missouri for next week's show. Also, we'll have it available probably Monday or Tuesday on SEMOSportZone.com. The SEMO 15 poll comes out this next week. And we'll take a break and we'll get into more things coming up next.
It's the small things in life that you tend to appreciate. The quality of care at SEMO Health Network is no different. They focus on the small details with healthcare that make you feel good, so you can get back to enjoying the small things in no time. They have so many ways to take care of you with 8 locations serving rural communities in need of medical care, including dental facilities and an in-house laboratory.
You'll feel good about this. SEMO Health Network. I want to stay connected to you. I like the way you do what you do. Alright, okay, you're fine.
Call Audubell Hearing Center at 1-800-499-8786 or visit one of our locations in Dexter and Poplar Bluff, Missouri today.
All right, now we're going to take a look at some college football matchups, and actually NFL football gets underway this weekend as well. So let's take a look at some of those college football matchups getting underway with Week 2. Big rivalry game, probably the last time these teams are going to play for a good while, as there's going to be some mix-up in college football with the conferences. 14th ranked Notre Dame at 17th ranked Michigan. Big rivalry game there in Michigan today. 2nd ranked Oregon at Virginia. 6th ranked South Carolina at 11th ranked Georgia. It's a big SEC matchup in that division for today. 12th ranked Florida at Miami. In-state rivalry there, game between those two. 15th ranked Texas at BYU. San Diego State at 3rd ranked Ohio State. Toledo at Missouri. Missouri holds the Toledo Mud Hens. Not Toledo Mud Hens, that's the minor league team. Sorry about that one. Samford at Arkansas. Arkansas Razorbacks hosting Samford of the OVC Conference. And Arkansas State at Auburn today. Tough test for the Arkansas State Red Wolves, and also going up against their former coach, Gus Malzahn, in that contest. Auburn hired Gus Malzahn from the Arkansas State Red Wolves. Actually came from Auburn as the offensive coordinator, went to ASU for a year. Won the Sun Belt Conference, offered the job to go back to Auburn for a head coach, and he took that, and the Red Wolves go up against their former coach, Gus Malzahn, in Auburn today. And also SEMO takes on Ole Miss down in Mississippi for today as well. And for NFL football today, we've got the weekend, Sunday. We've got Patriots at the Bills, AFC East matchup. And also we have Bengals at the Bears. Oakland Raiders at the Indianapolis Colts. Atlanta Falcons at the New Orleans Saints. A big NFC South matchup between those two teams. That division likely will come down to those two teams this year. The Buccaneers at the Jets, and Geno Smith for the Jets. Their rookie quarterback's going to get the start. Mark Sanchez has been hurt, so Geno Smith's going to come in and start for the New York Jets. Seattle Seahawks at the Carolina Panthers. Arizona Cardinals at the St. Louis Rams. The Packers at the 49ers, a rematch of last year's divisional round game. And the NFC playoffs should be a good one there between those two teams. Two great quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers and Colin Kaepernick. The New York Giants at the Dallas Cowboys, a big NFC East matchup there. Always fun game to watch between those two teams for Sunday Night Football. The Eagles at the Redskins, and this is the doubleheader for Monday Night Football. And the first one, Eagles at the Redskins, should be a great game between those two. Redskins won the NFC East last year, made it to the playoffs. And RG3 coming back off a knee injury, he's going to be starting. And, of course, Chip Kelly taking over the Philadelphia Eagles. And everybody's waiting to see what that offense looks like, what he's going to bring to the NFL. Michael Vick's going to be starting for the Eagles as well. Should be a great, interesting game that Monday night game there in Washington. Also, the doubleheader following that game will be the Texans at the San Diego Chargers out in San Diego. So, nice slate of football there for you on Sunday and going into Monday night for the first week of NFL football. We've already gotten underway with kickoff and NFL from Thursday night, and it was the Broncos defeating the Ravens 49-27, and part of history in that game. Peyton Manning threw 7 touchdown passes, which ties the record for NFL touchdown passes in a game, and didn't have any interceptions, 462 yards. And quite a game for Peyton Manning getting underway with this season. And what made it even more interesting, they blew out the Baltimore Ravens. And the Ravens having a tough go in that first game. Got a lot of new faces on that club, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And you could tell Peyton Manning just took advantage of the mismatches and probably the inexperience of some of those Ravens players and just threw it all over the field. And they're going to have to make some adjustments, especially on defense. You don't have the likes of Ray Lewis and Ed Reed and Ellerby and some of those other guys on defense. It's certainly going to be a transition for the Ravens defense that we've known for over a decade being dominant in the NFL. So they're probably going to be more of an offensive team this year. Of course, Joe Flacco getting that big contract, and some of his offensive weapons are out. They traded Anquan Bolden, was probably probably the best receiver in the playoffs last year, making big plays, and traded him to the 49ers, and they could have used him the other night. They had Dennis Pitta, who's their tight end, out for the season likely, and they had Jacoby Jones went down in a freak play on a punt. Player run into his own teammate, run into him while he was fielding a punt, hurt his knee, and he was out for the game, and they had to depend upon limited receiving core. And doesn't really look good for the Ravens right now, but they're a competitive team. They'll probably figure some things out. But playing in the same division with the Steelers and a much improved Bengals team, which a lot is expected of them this year, could be a rough season for the Ravens, but we'll see. But the Broncos out to a great start, coming off a 13-3 season. The defense may have been a little thin with Champ Bailey, their starting cornerback, out for at least this last game, and Von Miller's out for the first 6 games due to a suspension. Great pass rusher for the Denver Broncos, but they did a great job getting to the quarterback. Had 4 sacks, really limited the Ravens offensively. So Broncos going to be one of those teams coming down to the end of the season, chasing that AFC Championship and also getting into the Super Bowl. And going back to college football now, we're going to take a look at a press conference with Southeast Missouri State football coach Tony Samuel, talking about the game coming in this Saturday with Ole Miss. So let's take a look at that press conference.
schools over the weekend that had a lot of success, in these bigger games with FBS opponents. But anything happen against these types of opponents, and just give us a good preview on Ole Miss.
Well, Ole Miss, great football team. You can see that under that new staff, they've made a lot of progress. They run that fast-paced offense. They're great on defense. A lot of big kids that can run. It's an SEC team, so we're looking at a great team with a lot of depth. We're preparing right now with the idea of making it up to figuring out how to win the game. That's the only way that we know how, and we have to prepare. There's a lot of things we have to fix, but special teams being one of them. But I think we'll put this week to good work.
Coach, I know we've talked about this every year when you play one of these teams, and sometimes like at Central Michigan, maybe it's not the level. I know you go into every game hoping to win. At what point does it get very well? You're just trying to keep people healthy, and you see how the game goes along?
Well, it's not a matter of healthy is probably not the word.
Fresh,
you just want to keep them fresh.
Yeah.
You have to make a decision, one, from a defensive standpoint. We have to play a lot of players just because of the style of offense that these people run. They're coming at you fast-paced, and you can see on film where they had defenses either fatigued or making mistakes because of the speed of the game. And on the other side of the ball, from our offensive standpoint, we're dealing with bigger and faster people, so we just have to hold up and just keep punching at them, and they'll probably have it too deep, and we typically don't have that.
I saw some of their game the other night. They definitely have a lot of speed. Like you say, SEC, speed's all over that conference, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that was a great game, by the way.
Real great.
Vanderbilt and Ole Miss.
Yeah.
That was a great football game. Both teams competed extremely well, and one of the things that we have to also work on is just the players being comfortable with the atmosphere. So that's a brand new thing for us as well. We took a young team all the way down to Louisiana, for instance, and I thought we handled things well later on in the game, but I thought we gave up that quick kickoff, and I thought mentally the youth of the team showed up for a period there. So a lot of those things we have to observe and work on this week.
What are your thoughts on playing? I know money game is kind of a necessary, I don't know if it's even a necessary evil. Most teams have to do it, some play 1-1. What are your overall thoughts on one of these games?
Well, it's necessary for us. We all know the budget issues when it comes to having a money game and what it does for the athletic part of the program. So we do have to play them. You just have to be careful of who you pick and choose to play. This is a very powerful team that we're going to be playing.
Yeah.
And we just have to, make sure that we play well, which is always, when you play well and you play hard, it tends to minimize the injury factor. So that's the key to the whole thing.
They got speed all over, but that running back's pretty much a jet, isn't he?
Well, two running backs.
Okay.
Couple receivers. They're a fast, big football team if you want to just classify.
I know the kid who drove out that long one in the end.
Yeah.
He's their top, returning back. I'm sure they got more than him, but he's
he went 75 yards in a hurry.
Yeah.
He's not the biggest kid. I want to say he's about 5'7", 162 pounds.
Yeah, he didn't look too big.
When he turned the corner, he hit that gear, he was gone.
That was impressive, yeah. What about getting back to his first game? I know as a coach, good or bad, you never overact any one game. I guess that's what you have to keep in mind for a first game like that.
For a first game, the worst thing that probably happened to us for a first game is how we started the game. We give up a big play on a kickoff. Young team, very emotional team. These kids want to play and they want to be successful. And I thought the emotional bottom fell out, and we just didn't execute in too many areas. And it's something I think the kids realized. They lost their eyes, which is a common term in the coaching world. When you lose your eyes, when you're not paying attention to the keys that you need to see. And it's something that happens when you're young. And we're going to have plenty of opportunity going to a place like Ole Miss to make up for that, because we're going to deal with the crowd and Southeast Louisiana.
Is it definitely like it meant you good or bad? You never like to overreact too much to any one game, I guess?
You know, you know the old saying is never as good as it seems, never as bad as it seems.
Yeah.
Well, the score was bad.
And we're going to cut into that press conference, quite lengthy press conference there with Coach Tony Samuel. A big test for Southeast Missouri State Redhawks. Suffered a pretty big loss last week to Southeastern Louisiana. I think that was around 49-7. So a tough start for the Redhawks this year. They go to Ole Miss today. Certainly a tough test going up against an SEC school. So best of luck to those Redhawks today. They'll certainly need to put some plays together against those Rebels for today. And pretty much all we have for our show today. We're going to get into high school volleyball and even some fall softball and fall baseball as well in our next shows. The season just got underway with volleyball this past week, and we had some matches locally. Dexter off to a great start with high school volleyball. They had a strong season last year. They look to have a strong season to start with this year. Got 2 early match victories over Kennett earlier in the week, and also Jackson. Decisive victories over those schools in 2 straight sets, winning those matches. So Dexter off to a great start, and also Dexter tennis doing very well. We'll cover some tennis as well. Got 2, or actually I think about 3 early match victories against Charleston, Sykeston, against some of those schools as well. So we'll be getting more into volleyball starting next week as we get some matches going. We just had the first week this week and didn't have a whole lot of matches, but we'll getting more into those volleyball matches starting next week, and also we'll get some volleyball guests on our show as well. So look forward to that and the next upcoming roundtables. And that's all we've got for you today, and we appreciate you for tuning in as always, and be sure to tune in next week, each Saturday, here on the Sports Roundtable, here on YHC TV and CMOSportZone.com. And until next week, I'm Tyler Wagner. Have a good one.